today, let's start by just going over what meditation is, right? Because each week we get a lot of new people, right? First timer, great, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Glad you found me. So meditation, maybe you're here to relax, right? And maybe you're here. Usually, that's kind of how we get into meditation, is to try to relax or de-stress, right? That's a good reason to get into it, right? It's very good at doing that. But there is more that meditation can do, right? So meditation ultimately is a way of familiarizing yourself with something, right? So one example I like to use a lot is, if you think about how you used to not know how to drive, and now maybe you know how to drive. Randy, no reason to apologize for being late. Glad you can make it. So like maybe you've been driving a really long time, and if I was like, oh, get in the car and go down to the store, you could do it like this. You wouldn't even have to think about it, right? Because driving is very familiar to your mind, to your body, right? But it wasn't always that way, right? We used to have to think a lot about driving, right? It used to take a lot of effort and energy in order to drive. Here's the mirror, 10 and 2 on the wheel, gas and brake. But now, through familiarity, that's not the case anymore. It's very easy, right? So the same is true with anything. We can teach our mind anything, right? We can become familiar with anything. And through meditation, we're trying to become familiar with things like gratitude and kindness and being peaceful and being kind, all these wonderful things that may or may not seem to come naturally to us, right? And it's not because we're incapable of doing those things. It's because our mind's not that familiar with them, right? A good example is anger, right? How easy is it to get angry? You can get angry like this. You don't have to try. It's effortless, right? What about being really patient, right? Well, that takes a little more effort, right? So the reason is that our mind, unfortunately, is a little bit more well-versed in getting angry than it is in being really patient, right? But we can tilt the scales in the other direction just through training in familiarity, right? So we're going to become familiar with being patient, so much so that comes naturally to us instead of getting angry, right? That's what meditation is all about, right? So hopefully that explanation helps a little bit. Joseph, welcome from St. Louis. So in order to kind of get some of these great benefits of meditation, we do first have to become proficient at relaxing our mind, right? It's the first step, right? And I mean, you don't need me to really tell you why. When your mind is very agitated or anxious or stressed out, well, it's not really in a great position to learn, right? It's thinking about other things. It's not focused. It's not working at you're not yourself, really, right? So the first step with meditation, before we can start to train in familiarity with certain things, is to relax. Learn how to relax our mind, right? So if you think about a lake, like a still lake, right? Very nice. There's no wind, no rain. You can see the reflection in the lake. The reflection is very clear, right? If rain starts to come down, now that reflection is not as clear, right? You might not be able to see the reflection as clearly as before. Our mind is normally very still and calm, like a lake, right? All of the distracting thoughts and anxious thoughts and stress that we're encountering throughout the day, these are like raindrops that are falling on the lake and obscuring the reflection. So we have to clear away some of these raindrops first before we can look at something, look at the reflection, investigate something with our clear mind, right? That's the two steps of meditation: relaxing our mind and then using that relaxed mind to learn, to become more familiar with something, right? So in terms of relaxing, the way that we do this is with breathing meditation, and more formally, it's called single-pointed concentration. It's very fancy. I love saying it. All it means is focusing on one thing. Is that easy? we're not really, talk about familiarity. We're not really familiar with focusing on one thing. We're very familiar with trying to focus on as many things as possible. Multitasking, right? Multitasking is very good for getting things done, I suppose, but it's not great for getting things done in a peaceful way. So we need to start to train at focusing on one thing. And we're going to focus so much on one thing that other things are going to start to kind of fade away a little bit, right? Sort of like if you've ever been in the zone at work, right? Working on a project or exercising, maybe you're a runner, right? We're so focused on our project or whatnot that we don't hear people calling our name, or we lose track of time. All these things that are normally distractions for us, they seem to kind of disappear, right? It's a really interesting phenomenon, right? They seem to just go away, right? So we're going to do this on purpose, right? Sometimes we do this not on purpose. We're going to do this on purpose, right? We're going to use our breath. I am focused on either the thread or the zipper of this thing. All right, next time I'll tape that up. Sorry. That's hilarious. As long as you're single pointedly focused on it, I'm okay with it. All right, so I'm gonna put my head over here. So we're gonna use our breath, right? And this is called breathing meditation. You've probably heard of it before. It's not, it's not an uncommon thing these days, which is kind of cool. But we use our breath because our breath is always with us, right? Isn't that great? If we get good at using our breath to relax, to be calm, well, then we feel capable of doing this wherever, right? Because we always have our breath with us, right? It's a good lesson in meditation. It's a very important part of meditation is realizing that we don't really need these perfect conditions to start to practice meditation and to see benefits from it, right? Sometimes we think we need perfect silence, or we need to be, I don't know, on a mountaintop or something. No, we don't need any of that. You can do it right in your chair at home with your normal sounds that are going on, right? We just need a little patience, a little effort, and our breath, right? Those are the things that we need. So we're going to do a breathing meditation now. So if this is your first time, it's pretty simple from like an instructional standpoint. You're just going to focus on your breathing, right? I'll guide us. You'll just listen to what I'm saying, but we're going to focus on our breathing. And then when you notice that your mind has drifted and is focused on something else, maybe the zipper over there, then we're just going to bring our attention back to our breath, right? The goal isn't to never have our mind drift. It's to be able to notice when it's drifted and bring it back. That's meditation, right? That's breathing meditation. Okay? Does that sound good? And then if any questions come up while we're doing this, feel free to ask me and we'll get to them after this. It'll be about 5 minutes, nothing crazy. And then we'll get into our topic for today. All right? So sit comfortably. If you're laying down, that's also fine. If you're sitting on a cushion, all these things, they're fine. You don't have to change anything about your position. Just make sure you're comfortable. And you can go ahead and close your eyes, right? And follow along with what I'm saying. So when we start a meditation, first, we check in with ourselves. How are you feeling right now? In this moment, this very moment, what does your mind feel like? What is your mind up to? Just notice. If you're happy, sad, stressed, relaxed, neutral, whatever it is, just notice. This is called mindfulness. Noticing what your mind is doing moment to moment. And having checked in, you can now turn your full attention to your breathing. In and out of your nose. Very gently, very naturally. You do not need to take big, deep breaths or forcefully exhale. All you need to do is breathe normally, in and out. And see if you can follow your full breath in and your full breath out. At some point, maybe you'll notice your attention has drifted and is no longer focused on your breathing. Maybe it's thinking about something that happened earlier, something coming up later. Whenever you notice that, just gently guide your attention back to following each breath in and out. Allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to enjoy sitting here, enjoy breathing in and out very gently, very naturally. This is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to relax, to be calm, to be peaceful, to access your natural state of relaxation and happiness. How wonderful. So just continue to breathe in and out, following each breath, enjoying sitting here for a little while longer. Okay, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How'd that go? So that's a very basic breathing meditation, right? And maybe if this is new to you, which I'm sure it is for many, and even if it's not, maybe that was not easy, right? Maybe that was challenging. A lot of times, something very common that I hear when people start meditating is they say my mind seems busier when I meditate. You're really just noticing how busy your mind is all day long. Your mind is jumping from thing to thing all day long, having trouble focusing on one thing all day long. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting to think about. So this is just an example of lack of familiarity, right? Like we were talking about before, driving the car. This is not something we're used to doing. So it's going to take some time for us to become familiar with doing this. And over time, it's going to become more familiar, and it's going to be easier for us to stay focused on our breath, right? and it's going to start to make it easier for all those other thoughts, anxious thoughts, stressful thoughts, things that are worrying us, distractions. They're going to start to fade away a little bit easier, right? Does that make sense? Anyone have any questions on breathing meditation? If not, I shall move on. That's something you can do like quickly in the morning. You know, a red shirt. Are you missing my my Hawaiian shirts? I'm actually only now realizing I wore this last week, so that's slightly embarrassing. At least I called myself out on it, so no one else can call me out on it. All right. So, it's New Year's. What happens every New Year, right? New Year's resolutions, right? Time old tradition of making a goal and then maybe or maybe not seeing it through, right? Sometimes we do, right? Sometimes it falls off real quick. So today I thought it'd be interesting to kind of look at goal setting and following through on our goals, in the spirit of New Year's, and how meditation can help us do those things, right? So when we're thinking about setting a goal for ourselves, or a New Year's resolution, if we want to stay on theme, right? There's kind of two angles that I like to look at, right? So the first is inspiration. We've heard that word before, right? And the other is aspiration. Maybe we haven't heard that word as much, right? They're kind of like an interesting team, inspiration and aspiration, dynamic duo, right? So inspiration I like to think of as a spark, right? So we see something, or we hear something, or we have a thought, right? And something happens. There's like a spark. And there's this kind of natural inclination to want to do something based on this inspiration that we have gleaned, right? So in order to kind of find inspiration, we have to really practice mindfulness. We did a whole class on mindfulness last week, so that'd be something to look at if you're new. We have to be aware of what we're feeling, kind of moment to moment, right? We have to be aware when our mind moves, when we have this kind of spark, when we see something and we feel that inclination to do, right? Or to set a goal for ourselves, right? If we can't notice that, well, we're not going to really be able to make a goal. So this is a very important first step, is starting to become good at checking in with yourself, right? Noticing how you're feeling moment to moment, so that way when something happens, a flash of inspiration, a spark, you'll notice it, right? You'll be aware that it happened before it kind of just blows by you, right? So we have to notice the spark, right? And once we notice this spark of inspiration, right, we have a great opportunity to turn it into aspiration, right? So inspiration kind of leads into aspiration. So what is aspiration? Aspiration is it's a wish to engage in something meaningful, right? It's a firm determination to follow through on your inspiration, right? It's not just like, oh, that was a cool thing I thought of, and then it goes away. It's like, I'm doing this, right? So if inspiration can be thought of as like a spark, I like to think of aspiration as a flame that won't go out, right? It might blow in the breeze, it might get larger and smaller at sometimes, but it will not go out. It will not go out, right? Goal setting. Yeah, exactly, right? This is all about goal setting, right? Finding our goals and then maintaining them, right? Which is arguably the harder part, right? So for aspiration, sometimes it's fleeting, right? Sometimes we're like, I'm doing this thing. And then what happens? Forget about it, right? So in order to maintain this flame of aspiration, we have to remind ourselves of why we're doing it, right? We have to contemplate the benefits of engaging in this activity, in having this goal. So maybe our goal for the new year is to write a book, right? I don't know. Why? Why do you want to do this? Right? What are the benefits of writing a book? How is it going to make your life better? Maybe you inspire others. Maybe you bring joy to other people. Maybe it brings out your creativity. These are all wonderful reasons and benefits of writing a book, right? It doesn't have to be something as crazy as writing a book. Maybe it's just I want to do laundry regularly because I let it pile up, right? Why? Why do you want to do laundry regularly? Well, then you'll have clean clothes and you won't have to, spend hours doing laundry because you'll be doing it more regularly or something like that, right? So the idea is if we know and believe in the benefits of something, that flame stays lit, right? So we have to remind ourselves of the benefits of our goal, why we're doing this, remind ourselves of why we're aspiring to have this goal, to have this New Year's resolution. And we can do this through meditation, right? Meditation is really good for reminding ourselves of the benefits of things, right? So like we were talking about before, we're clearing the raindrops off the lake, right? We're relaxing our mind. And then we're going to look at something. So maybe you want to look at the benefits of your goal. Why? Just think about it. You're just using your mind to think about it. You're thinking about the benefits, and maybe one of those things pops up. You're like, yeah, that's a really good reason to do this, right? And so that's familiarizing yourself with the benefits of your aspiration. And it's going to keep that aspiration going, right? Even if it's wavering a little bit. Right? Does that make sense? I like inspiration and aspiration. I feel like they're a cool team. Like they're a cool superhero crew. Batman and Robin or something like that. I don't know which is which, but one of them. Any questions on that? Inspiration, aspiration, sparks, flames. So maybe we have inspiration, right? Something has come to us, right? And maybe we have thought about the benefits of it, and we're kind of set on doing it, right? We have aspiration, right? Maybe we have those things. That's great, right? For our New Year's resolution, right? But now we gotta maintain it, right? Now we gotta kind of follow through on this promise we made ourselves, and this is really the hard part, right? You guys have been here for a number of years. You've probably done New Year's resolutions before. They might not have all panned out, right? So maintaining this kind of drive is arguably the really challenging part. And what we're talking about here is trying to maintain effort. Effort is purposeful energy towards achieving something. Susan, thank you. I'm glad you're here. That's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that. So we want to maintain consistent effort towards our goal. Very important. Consistent effort towards our goal, right? Because sometimes aspiration can be really exciting, right? And there might be a temptation to commit massive amounts of energy right out the gate towards achieving our goal, right? That's kind of like, especially around their New Year's resolutions, that's what we feel like we should do. We're like, oh, I just got to go for it nonstop, right? Oh, you've been watching a lot. Great. I'm so glad to hear that, Susan. So think about like running a race, right? I like to use this analogy for this, right? So sometimes the temptation is to start running really fast, right? We're going to win the race or whatever. So we're starting to run really fast. What happens if you run too fast in the beginning of the race? You might not finish, right? You might get super tired. You might get burnt out. Can't finish. The goal of our goals is to complete our goals, right? Not necessarily to complete them as fast as possible, but to complete them. That's the most important part, right? If we've set a goal for ourselves or a resolution, right? We want to see it through. And in order to do that, we need to be mindful about our pacing. Pacing is extremely important in achieving our goals, in maintaining effort, right? Sometimes I like to say we want to be more like a river than a waterfall, right? There's like this think of like a waterfall, it's massive amounts of energy, right? Water flying all over the place is crazy, right? Not all that water makes it down the waterfall. Sometimes it flies off into the air and hits a tree or leaf or whatever, and then it's gone. Right? But rivers, slower, but moving consistently. Set a realistic goal. Exactly, Joseph. Ooh, tortoise and the hare. Tortoise and the hare. What a great example, Crystal. Thank you. Exactly, right? Consistent effort towards our goal. We want to be like a river, not like a waterfall, right? So maybe you're sitting there and you're like, I am not a waterfall. I barely am a river. I'm more like a pond that's just kind of slowly moving around, right? Maybe it's hard for us to commit energy to something. Well, even if we're not really identifying with being like a waterfall or kind of committing a lot of energy towards our goals, we think that we should, right? We always think that we should be doing more for our goals. Like if I was a real writer, I would write all the time. If I was if I really wanted to learn how to draw, I would draw nonstop. That's just kind of what we're thinking, right? But everyone's river flows at different speeds, right? And we have to be okay with that, right? That's a hard thing to be okay with because a lot of times we're comparing ourselves to other people, right? And how fast they move, their pace, right? But in order to achieve our goals, we need to move at our pace, right? Your pace, right? Whatever speed your river flows at, be okay with that. Own it, right? Another good example for pacing is if you think about cooking something on a stove, right? So if we turn the burner on really high and we kind of put the pan on the burner, but then we're like taking it off constantly, like it's not consistent. We're like, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on. It's not going to cook, even though the burner's on high. But if we put that burner on low and leave it on, right? It might take a little longer, but it's going to cook. So consistent energy towards us, towards our goal, consistent effort towards our goal is the most important thing for achieving it, right? This is sometimes called steadfastness. Fancy word for all this, right? So we gotta find a pace, and a lot of times that comes with just being honest with yourself, right? Maybe through meditation, right? So clearing your mind with breathing meditation and thinking about what pace works for me. Maybe think about some other times where maybe you had a too quick pace or too slow. Like what pace is me, right? And then making a promise to yourself to be okay with that, right? Seeing that through, right? Pacing, very important. All right. So we're at a good pace. Excellent. Now it's time for the secret ingredient for achieving our goals, and that is joy. Right? So joy is a very interesting thing because it produces natural effort. Right? It's like a revolutionary idea. Maybe you've never heard of it phrased that way, but if you think about it, if you really enjoy doing something, what happens? Well, you kind of do it, right? You're not really having to, I gotta go do this thing. You're like just doing it. You're making time for it even, right? Sometimes we get distracted with other things. We don't make time for the things that we enjoy, but the effort to do things that we find joyful seems to come more naturally, right? So if we can engage in our goal, right, with our New Year's resolution, with a level of joy, we're going to be starting to make progress a lot quicker and more easily because we're going to be engaging in it with kind of like effortlessness, right? We just want to do it, right? Sometimes that comes from thinking about the benefits, right? We were talking about that earlier, right? If you like really get behind something, you're like, yeah, you're like really jazzed about it, right? There's like joy there, and you're going to want to do it. The effort is starting to come more naturally, right? But sometimes you might be thinking, well, I don't really necessarily enjoy this activity that I'm doing, right? But I need to do it to achieve this goal. So really, when we're looking at joy and how it relates to accomplishing our goals or following through with our goals, it's not really about enjoying the activity itself. it's about bringing a joyful mind to the activity, right? There's a difference, right? So our mind makes a connection with activities, right? When we do them, our mind begins to associate the activity with the mood that we're bringing to it. So, for me, I don't like doing laundry, and I have not really liked doing laundry for a really long time. And so now, even just saying the word laundry right now in my mind, I'm like, oh no, right? It's like this negative link that I've developed with laundry, right? So we want to try to, instead of, forcing ourselves to like enjoy every little part of our goal, we want to make sure we're bringing a joyful mind to these parts of our goals whenever we can, right? And a really good method of doing that is engaging in breathing meditation before we embark on a task for our goal, right? So similar to what we did before, just taking some time, clearing away some of those raindrops, relaxing our mind, because a peaceful mind is a joyful mind, right? When you are calm and at peace, well, everything's great, When you're anxious and worked up, things not so great, right? So we want to work on bringing peacefulness to our goal, right? To the activities that we have to do to meet our goal, right? Because all of those raindrops, all those distractions, they block our ability to find joy in things, right? If we're walking down the street, right, and we're, really anxious about something that had happened earlier, right, we might not notice some of the little joys about walking down the street, right? Birds chirping, or maybe we notice some people laughing, like, oh, that's nice, they're having a great time. We might not notice any of those things. They're there, right? But they're obscured to us because our mind is elsewhere, right? So being present, right? Being calm, being peaceful, presence of mind, really good for being able to notice little joys in things, even in situations that we might not normally find to be joyful. Maybe we'll start to find a little joy in those things, in those tasks that we have to do towards meeting our goal, right? Sort of like we're a child at play, right? Just kind of fascinated with what we're doing, right? Really plugged into what we're doing and fascinated and joyful about it. Does that sound good? So those, I feel like, these are 4 things that we can think about. Like maybe you already have your New Year's resolution set, right? You're like, I'm doing this year. Or maybe you haven't even thought about it, right? You don't have to wait for New Year's to make these things, by the way, but it seems like we do. I like setting intentions instead of using word goals as that word. It's not joy for me. Okay, great. That's a great thing to notice, right? So sometimes when we think of goals, right, maybe that word like doesn't like that word, right? Maybe we have a bad connotation with it, right? Set an intention, right? That's great. Intention is very good. Intention is like I like to say intention is like a compass, right? It's not pointing us it's not like a GPS telling us go here, right? But it is giving us a general guide of what we want our life to be, of what we want to do. So if we get off track, we remember why we're doing this, right? That goes back to kind of aspiration, thinking about the benefits of this. Why are we doing this, right? Very good. Thanks, Carla. It was great. So using mindfulness for inspiration, right? Checking in with ourselves about the benefits of why we're doing this thing we want to do, right? Why have we set this intention for ourselves, right? That's to help our aspiration. Then pacing, being able to work towards our goal or our resolution in a reasonable way, right? Not too much effort, right? If that's not something we're capable of maintaining long-term, consistent effort. And then joy, finding joy in the things that we do, right? And that comes from bringing a joyful mind. That's a really important point, right? It's all about trying to be peaceful and calm and then engage in the activity instead of trying to just like force yourself to enjoy it, right? That's not really how it works. So those 4 things I think are pretty good for not just New Year's resolution, but anytime you want to try to make a change, or accomplish something, or work towards something, right? Set an intention and work towards it. We can think about these 4 things, right? Sound good? Okay. Why don't we do a little we'll do a little meditation on joy. Usually when I teach this I do it on pacing, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Let's do it we're going to do a meditation on finding joy. Carol, I like resolves. Thank you. It's great. What a great word. Thank you so much for this series. Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you for being here. Okay. Meditation time. All right. So this is going to be very similar to what we did last time, but we're going to kind of put a little spin on it. We're going to start to notice some joys of breathing, maybe, right? So that's where we're kind of wrap it in our discussion into this meditation. Right? We're going to see if we can notice some joys of breathing by being really calm and being plugged in to our breath. Okay? All right. So sit comfortably. Again, if you're laying down, that's fine, or on a cushion, doesn't matter. Maybe if you're like doing a handstand, I don't know if that's great, but power to you if you can hold that position. And go ahead and close your eyes and follow along with what I'm saying. Let's check in with ourselves again. How are you feeling now? Different? The same? Whatever it is, just notice. Just check in with yourself. Practicing mindfulness, something really important for keeping an eye out for inspiration, sparks of inspiration. So just pay attention to how you're feeling. And you can now turn your full attention to your breathing in and out of your nose, very gently, very naturally. Allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to relax into your chair, into your cushion. And just breathe in and out. Following your full breath in and following your full breath out. And we can practice our mindfulness again by checking in. Is your attention still on your breathing, or has it drifted? If it's drifted, just gently guide it back. Guide your attention back to following each breath. In and out. Very gently, very naturally. As you begin to plug in to your breathing, to focus on it single-pointedly, maybe you start to notice some things about breathing, some sensations. You're becoming aware of what breathing feels like. Maybe you notice the air is cool as you breathe in, and a bit warmer as you breathe out. Your shoulders rising as you breathe in, falling as you breathe out. Your whole body moving with each breath. How interesting. All these sensations just from breathing. You're starting to notice your breath. You're starting to enjoy breathing. In and out. Very gently, very naturally. You are meditating. Right now, you're doing it, and you're doing amazing. You are able to relax yourself just by focusing on your breathing. You're doing that all on your own. How wonderful. How beneficial to know that you are able to relax, to be calm, to be peaceful. Whenever you need to, you can tap into this whenever you need to. How nice to feel that way. So just take a couple moments to think about this. Think about how you are doing this right now. Think about how nice it feels to sit here and breathe and relax. There are benefits to meditating. Think about the benefits. Maybe that'll help your aspiration to want to develop a meditation practice. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, so very similar to what we did before with breathing meditation, but we kind of wove in a little bit of contemplation, right? So we're relaxing ourselves, right? And then we're thinking about things. So there were kind of two things that we were thinking about there. We were thinking about, there's some sensations about breathing, right, that are kind of cool, right? Maybe I haven't noticed them before. Finding little joys, right? And then we're also thinking about how we are relaxing ourselves, and there's great benefit in being able to do that, right? We're contemplating the benefits of meditating, right? And by contemplating the benefits of meditating, we're going to start to develop an inclination to want to meditate, right? We want to hone that skill so we can relax ourselves, right? So you can do this if maybe your New Year's resolution is to start a meditation practice, right? You can do this with that, but you can do this with anything, right? So by doing something like this, right, focusing on the benefits, contemplating the benefits after relaxing our mind a little bit, we can start to really get a good sense of why we're doing things, our intentions, and solidify this kind of flame of aspiration to move towards completing our goal, right? Does that sound good? Any questions on any of this before we part ways for a week? Oh, like I said, if anything pops up ever, you can always email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat now. Okay, there we go. Email me at any time. A lot of times I know it's like, oh, I should have asked that thing. It's fine. Just email me, right? It's cool. We'll have a little convo. And the logo on my cap is this is for a ski company. I love skiing. Thanks. Rita, thank you for being here. Thank you everyone for being here. It's really awesome that you all take time out of your day to be here to learn something new. You should feel great about doing that. And it's really meaningful to me. I couldn't do this without you guys. And I know everyone's very busy, right? And it's very cool of you all to take an hour out of your busy day to try to learn something new and to allow me to share something that I'm passionate about. So thank you. If you did enjoy this, come back. We do this every week, unless something comes up. But generally, I'm pretty good about doing it every week. And we'll do a new topic. Maybe bring a friend. Right, a little fun meditation outing. And you could subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want. That'll let you know when I'm going live. All my old videos are up there. So if you want to peruse them, go right ahead. And if you're like, oh, I love this, this is amazing, and you want to do some private instruction, I do that too. I do one-on-one private instruction virtually, and also I do stuff with corporate like workplaces, so maybe that'd be cool for you. Just email me if that sounds interesting, and we can set something up. Tashita, Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to everyone. Good luck with your New Year's resolutions. Hopefully you found this to be helpful. Sue, thank you for being here. Happy New Year to you. Carla, that's really very nice of you to say. Thank you. Thank you for being here and for those kind words. Nancy, really, there's so many like regulars here. It's awesome to have you guys here. Nexter, meditation makes me feel like I'm somewhere else for a few minutes, which is really nice, especially while mostly being stuck home some of these days. Yeah, so it's a really interesting feeling, and it kind of shows the power of your mind, right? Like you're able to change how you're feeling in this moment just by focusing your attention on your breath, right? It's a really powerful thing to start to realize that you're able to do that, right? Randy, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I'm glad that you found me too, and I'm glad that you're here. Oh my God, I just realized it's Thursday morning. Where did the week go? I know. That happens literally every week. I'm like, oh no, it's Wednesday. Crystal, thank you. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here. Mindy, thank you and Happy New Year. Mohammed, my newest fan, so beneficial. Thank you for being here. Thank you for finding me and for giving this a shot. And I'm really glad to hear that it's been helpful. And Happy New Year to all. And I'll see you next week. All right. Take care.